to me, Wo Ping is God. You know, I call him Master Wo Ping, because this guy, you know, just takes the innovation and creativity and genius, and I'd die to have him work on one of my movies. I love the work that Jet did with Stanley Tong. I love the work that he did with Shui Hark. And Yuen, I think he did fantastic work. But I think when his collaboration with Wo Ping, when he got together with Wo Ping, I just thought that was it. When I saw Tai Chi Master, and I saw the set pieces, and I saw the physicality and what he did, it solidified the genius of Wo Ping, because it was years later. I think Wo Ping did Snake, and he did Drunken Master in '78, I think, with Jackie Chan. And then by the time he got to Jet, I think it was like early '90s, and I was like, God, this guy is the greatest martial arts director of all time. You know, because to do it with Jackie, and then to do it with Jet, two very different, you know, collaborations, and both collaborations just were mind-blowing. It was the best of Jackie's work, I thought, and the best of Jet's work at the time.
What he did is he created a context for Jet Li. I mean, because there's always this excitement of Jet Li, but in that way, the same way that Michelle Yeoh's reflexes were a little bit better than anybody she worked with, he was always a little bit faster than other people. And there were certain directors who knew how to employ, or rather to stage a film so that his stuff was exploited, so it was maximized, so it wasn't just like this blur where you weren't quite sure what you were seeing, or he's just too good for the movie.
I think Yuen saw Jet's capabilities, you know, and what I love about it, of like, for instance, Tai Chi Master, is that there's humor. What Master Wo Ping does, he allows the martial arts star to bring himself. He brings out the best in that individual. When he does a Jackie Chan movie, I think he knows his limitations, he knows his strengths, and he brings that out in the work. When you see all his other work, which is phenomenal, but then you see Jet Li's other work, and then when you see Tai Chi Master, you're like, oh my God, this guy had the benefit of seeing, obviously, seeing all his other movies and going, okay, how are we going to top this?
And you think about the difference between maybe him and Sammo Hung and Yuen and Choi Hark. In Hung, for example, there's always lots of, even in the more serious films, there's always some big set piece of slapstick comedy. And with Ping's movies, the comedy comes from the danger in the fight sequence. I mean, you wonder when somebody's going to get hurt. It's that kind of tension that pushed a step too far would be suspense. But to have that kind of control where it's both kind of exciting and funny, because you're kind of wondering what's going to happen. Who's going to get hurt? Is he going to get hurt? It's just being a hair's breadth away from losing control. That, to me, is what directing is about. That sense of the director having that kind of focus. Even though when he's doing those movies, you know those guys are going out there going, yeah, I broke a couple ribs yesterday, that's fine. You know, as long as I can stand up with a tape on me, I'm fine. But still, there's always that sense of it could go out of control, and it doesn't. And that's real filmmaking to me. You know, that's real control of the medium, which is what we want from a director, isn't it? He should be a major American director. The thing about him is that by the time Hark and John Woo came to making American film, a lot of their best movies have been stolen by American directors. So it's like, you know, they're at the point where they're trying to show what they can do, and people go, yeah, I've seen that already, what else you got? And it was almost kind of sad in their cases by the time they got to make movies in America. What Wo Ping is doing is still reinventing action in this, in film in general. What he does is just so much fun to watch, because there's that sense that you don't get in American action movies, that sense of pleasure that the actors in Asian cinema get, because they can do it. That's what's missing in American films, is a director who has these actors who are capable of doing everything you can ask of them.
I remember a sequence in Rush, the first Rush Hour, when I had to throw an axe, or one of the characters, the villain, had to throw an axe at Chris Tucker, and we were all like figuring out, okay, this will be real, then we'll go CGI, and we'll figure out a fake axe. And Jackie's like, let me show you how to do this. And he took a real axe, okay, 2 of them, and showed me, had a guy below the frame line, one of his boys, you know, and the axe had to go by Chris's face and just stick in the wall. So the villain came in front of the, here's the lens, came in front of the lens and went to throw the axe, but pulled it out of frame, and then the other guy on the other side, boom, stuck it in the wall. And I did one take, didn't cost anything. I'm like, we just saved $50,000, you know? I'm like, holy, you know, it's just, because they don't have that stuff over there. They got to use, they have to do everything in camera. They have to use everything. That's why the stick fight is just mind blowing. Because, you know, it's all real. I've watched that 100 times. I mean, I rewound it. How do they do this? It's the most mind-blowing thing. I can't imagine how long it took them to shoot that. I mean, I just, that set piece right there, no one will ever duplicate that. I mean, that was like Jet Li at his prime, Wu Ping in his prime. You know, it's like, how did they pull that off? I suppose it's all incredible, complex wire work, but the amount of sticks that are flying through the air and the control over those sticks. And it's not like there was 8 cameras in a capture. They did piece by piece by piece. Probably they had 2 or 3 cameras maybe to cover certain angles. But that stuff only works in one angle. Sticks flying at you. You can't be in the way of the sticks when they're that long and they're flying at you. So it's now, you know, they would do it all CGI, or they would do it all green screen. There was no CGI. I mean, that was all in camera. When you see that, I mean, your mouth is agape. You're like, this is one of the greatest. How did he come up with this? Where did his brain come up with this stuff?
He also has that great sense of life is cheap kind of action choreography where people are constantly getting hurt and it doesn't stop them. I mean, because it's like they're going out there and taking a bullet for the general. And we don't have that in American movies. You know, I guess we have insurance and lawsuits and, you know, safety rules. And that is such an organic and integral part of his filmmaking. I don't know how you could make a movie where they speak English and you have to sign insurance claims.
I'll give you a perfect example. We were doing Rush Hour, and I needed a shot over the edge of the building. Now, my producer's like, okay, it's going to take 2 days to assemble the crane, take it to the roof, put it up on the roof, then put the camera on the crane, and we have to sandbag it down. That's another, you know, it's like 80 men to get it up there, 80 people crew, and then the camera just goes over the edge, and he goes, Jackie Chan says, screw that, give me a rope. He gets a rope, ties it around his waist, has 6 of his guys, just kind of inch by inch. Jackie says, give me the camera, grabs the camera, okay, and just does this. And he's a human crane. Like that. That's all he knows how to do. It's like, forget about all the you know, the heavy machinery and the, you know, it's frustrating for them, the process of making movies in America.
There's a sense of fun, but also a sense of complete recklessness. It's like watching kids diving off a garage just to show they can do it. There's that sense that you can't get hurt, or you have to do this because you've got to do this for the team. And he's doing it, and they've all done it before me, and so what if I get hurt?
I love the training shots, the wide shots of them training. And then on their heads. I mean, I still can't figure out how they did it. I gotta ask Master Wu Ping when I see him, but it's like, I can't even see where they would even, because it was such a wide shot. If there were wires that were helping these guys, where were they connecting to? I mean, it was just like, these guys must have really been on their heads and then doing the flips in unison. It was just unbelievable.
For example, Jackie Chan, it's like, you know, you can cut into a tree and count the circles and see how old it is. For Jackie Chan, his nose gets slightly broader over the years from all the times it's been broken. So that's how you can really tell. Forget the limp. Forget the fact he really can't bend his right arm anymore. It's the fact that his nose gets flatter and flatter and flatter every time you see him over the years. And that's what Wu Ping brings in those movies, is a director, an actor, and a choreographer who will do anything that he asks of his actors. And it really is a kind of foolhardiness that goes back in this country to Chaplin and Harold Lloyd, who really were risking their lives to make movies. And that sense of adrenaline that gives the filmmaking, it really communicates a kind of anxiety that you can't really talk about. I mean, even if you are completely unaware of it and you're kind of unsophisticated about it, there's something different. There's a different kind of emotional import to it. And that's what Wu Ping brings to filmmaking. And then, I'm sure Uma Thurman can tell stories about getting hurt making Kill Bill because of what he demanded of her.
I think Wu Ping, aside from being a great, martial arts choreographer and martial arts director, he's also just a great filmmaker. I mean, even the transition in the beginning when the kids are having the fight with the brooms, and then the transitions even were so well done. A lot of times they could be hokey, and it's rare that you have a guy who is a martial arts choreographer / director who really cares about that stuff. But I think a lot of thought was put into that, and I think they were striving for something better than just, okay, let's make the greatest let's not only make the greatest martial arts sequences that in a film up to date, but let's tell a great story. Because at the end of the day, audiences, wherever you're from, care about the story, they want to care about the characters. And the relationship between these two guys was a special relationship. And I think Master Wu Ping set it up beautifully, where you really got immersed and you like these kids. You got to know the dynamic between the two of them, the bigger one and the smaller one, and then how the roles changed.
I happen to think he's a really talented director, and I really wonder, there must be something that's kept him from making movies, certainly in this country. You got to wonder why. You just think from The Matrix alone. Forget Kill Bill, forget all the other things. You just think from that he'd be getting offered everything. But maybe he's one of these people who really is more comfortable in this culture, doing the things that he feels the most invested in and the most confident about.
When you're so good at something and you're in such demand, and you're a guy who loves collaborations and loves working with these great artists, I mean, to have an opportunity to work with Jackie, with Jet, with these guys who are in the prime of their lives, he's a selfless guy. He's a guy that's not only about his own career,
You think about all the stuff he's done and all the stuff he still gets offered. You've got to ask yourself why it hasn't happened. Because I certainly do. Because I'll be the first one there to see it, and I'll even pay money. That's how much I'll go.
I had dinner with him at Mr. Chow's here in LA, and I was like, I've never been more excited to meet somebody face to face. And he didn't speak a word of English, but I was like speaking so fast, and then they're translating for him, and I'm like, and I had like 7 months of questions for him, and I only had one dinner, so I was like going through my Rolodex, going, okay, what am I gonna ask him? What am I gonna ask him? And no matter how good the interpreter, you don't always get the. I want to just sit next to him all day for like a year and just ask him questions all day long. That's all I want to do. Like take a year off and just hang out with Wu Ping and just ask him all the questions I can and get all the answers,